Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Los Angeles Latino Chamber of Commerce webinar. We want to thank you for joining us this morning for part 2 of a 3-part series with the Department of General Services. I'm Olivia Rios, Director of Operations at the LA Latino Chamber of Commerce. Today is a perfect topic for those business owners who have certified their companies to do business with the state of California or in their respective counties. As many of you know, it's a little daunting to know how to navigate through the system once you've been certified. Hold on one second. Once you've been certified. So to demystify this, today's workshop is titled, I'm Certified, Now What? Our presenters will be sharing great tips on how to find bid opportunities, conduct market research, and more. As I shared last week, billions of dollars are awarded every year to small businesses as a result of the state agencies under the executive order to do 25% of their procurement contracts with small businesses and 3% with disabled veteran-owned enterprises. I'm really excited to be here with you and learn from our experts on how to level up your small business. Unfortunately, our chairman, Daryl Salceda, will not be joining us today and sends his regrets. He knows you're in good hands with our partners at DGS. But before I introduce our speakers, I would like to share a few housekeeping notes with you. If you can silence your phone, be in a learning mode. You can ask questions in the chat, and those will be answered as we go through the session. If you are posting on social media, please use our tag at LA Latino Chamber and or at the @ DGS Business Outreach. And feel free to write your name in the chat box with your name and your business. We always love to hear where you are coming from. So let me introduce you to our first speaker, Teresa Macias Ruiz, who serves as a bilingual outreach liaison at the Office of Small Business and Disabled Veterans Business Enterprise for the California Department of General Services. In this role, she educates business owners about benefits and opportunities about pursuing small business and contracts with the state of California. Teresa also translates into Spanish many of the resources like videos, brochures, and other training tools available on the ODS webpage. Teresa has worked in the banking sector for about 20 years, and later she was a substitute for about 5 years at Washington Unified School District in the Sacramento area. Her background is in business, and she holds a bachelor's degree in Science and Administration from Sacramento State University. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, hello, and again, welcome to our I'm Certified Now What presentation. My name again is Teresa Macias Ruiz, and I'm joined here by Jermaine Carter-Gibson. We're both business outreach liaisons with the Department of General Services, and we work specifically in the Office of Small Business and Disabled Veteran Business Enterprises Services, or short OSDS. During this presentation, you will hear how to find bid opportunities, how to improve your Cali Procure, and other resources to help you do business with the state of California. Jermaine is going to guide you through this webinar. And after each of the sections, we're going to break for a question and answer portion. So with this being said, Jermaine, take it away.
Teresa, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the I'm Certified Now What, which is the #2 webinar in our 3-part series. I want to give you some contact information for both myself and Teresa. So my email, which is actually spelled wrong on the slide, is jermaine.cartergibson@dgs.ca.gov and Teresa Macias Ruiz at dgs.ca.gov. Now, before we get started and get into the topics, I want to make sure that I'm in the right place and that we're using the functions correctly. So first, I just want to remind you guys, please keep yourselves muted. And I have a quick question for all of you who are here to see your business win a state contract and get a check from the state of California. Please put yes in chat. If you were looking to win a contract and get a check from the state of California, please put yes in chat. I've got to see more than one yes. Yes in chat. There they go. There they go. There they go. Good morning to all of you. That is awesome. So this is the number one lesson, and the first lesson in today's webinar is that state contracting, for you to be successful, you've got to stand up and be accounted for, right? And if you're too cool to say yes in chat, you may be too cool to do some of the things that we're going to cover today, right? So we want to break off the coolness and get to work, okay? So let's dive into the topic. So the first thing we're going to cover is the California State Contracts Register. This is where all the contracts are, the opportunities. We're going to go into updating and improving your profile. We're going to talk about doing research of past purchases. This is your market research. We'll cover SBDVBE advocates again, reciprocity, some resources, and commercially useful function as always. So the number one question is, once I get certified, all right, how do I find the contracts? Where are they? What do I do? I'm ready to go, right? And a lot of times people think that getting certified is the end, and being certified is actually beginning, right? That's when the work actually starts, is once you go through the certification process. So let's take a look at that. So how do I find the competitive solicitations? So on our website, which is the central hub for all things contracting, caliprocure.ca.gov. Once you get there, you're going to log in at the top on the right. Click on the login. Once you are logged in, the home page now changes to your work center. This is how you know you're logged in. You now see your work center, which shows on the right side your registration information. On the left side, I'm sorry, switch around. Left side registration information, right side your certification information. You actually have two separate profiles. You have a registration profile and you have a certification profile. And so why is that? Every business on earth can register to bid on contracts with the state of California, but not every business can be a certified firm. So we have a registration side and then we have a certification side. Your registration side is where you get all your notifications so that the opportunities can be found. Your certification side is where we can verify you are certified and connect you with certified specific opportunities, okay? So you know you're logged in when you see your work center. Now, to find the opportunities, right there at the top smack in the middle, California State Contracts Register, you're going to start search. What that does is it takes you to a search engine where you can search the State Contracts Register. What a lot of people miss is this part, is there's an advanced search criteria button. When you click on advanced search criteria, it opens up and gives you further options that you can use when you're doing your search. So you can search by specific UnsPSC codes that you know apply to the goods and services that you provide. You can search by service area if you only want to provide services, goods and services in particular counties, or you can choose statewide here if you can provide it to the entire state. You have contractor license type. If there's any licenses that you have that are specific to what you do, you can plug them in. And then to make your life easier, at the bottom down here, you can save your search criteria and you can manage your searches. So the first time you go in, you can do different searches and then save them. And then the next time you can just choose from your saved searches and do that search often so you can stay up to date on what's available and kind of streamline that process. Okay, so that's in advanced search criteria. Once you do a search, click on search. Once you plug in all of your criteria, you will now see a list of the opportunities. I believe in this search, there were like 458 opportunities that were found in this basic search. So you'll see all of the opportunities, the departments, the end dates, and then you'll choose the ones that look like they have interest to you. So once you choose one, it opens up to the solicitation page. Now on the solicitation page, we want to point out some important pieces. Number one is the end date. We talked about this in the first webinar. This is the date and time that you have to have your bids submitted. Any bids submitted after this date and time are not going to be considered. So that date and time is extremely important. Number two is your contact information for this particular solicitation. So if you have any questions, if you're unsure about anything, this is going to be the person that you want to contact. This example has a phone number and an email. A lot of times you may only see an email address, which is actually good for you because there's always going to be a record of the back and forth between you and the contact person, right? So when you have questions about a particular solicitation, the contact person there is going to be your go-to. Next up here at the top is view event package. Now the event package is going to have all of the fine details related to this particular solicitation. Extremely, extremely important to read through the event bid package. It's going to have dates, it's going to have maybe locations if they're going to do walkthroughs, it's going to have all of the specifics in relation to this solicitation. So it's extremely important to pull that up and go through it, make sure you're familiar with everything that they're asking. There was an example in the past, in the event package, it said to submit a bag of Skittles with your bid. And anyone who didn't submit a bag of Skittles were non-responsive. And that was for a lawyer position. And what they wanted to know is that the lawyers that are applying for this position can pay attention to detail, right? So anyone who didn't read through the event package and pay attention to the detail were automatically disqualified from consideration, right? So it just kind of gives it's an extreme example, but it's an example of why reading the event package is important. Okay. Next is posting a vendor ad. So if you do not see this button, post a vendor ad, that means you're not logged into the system. You only can post an ad if you are logged in with your registration information. And what vendor ads do is they can say, hey, I'm a prime looking for a sub, or I'm a sub looking for a prime, or I can do something else in relation, some auxiliary function in relation to this opportunity. And I want everyone to know that I'm here and available to do whatever that is, right? So you can't add anything like images or attachments or anything like that. It's all text so that everyone has an equal playing field, but it allows you to alert everyone that's looking at this solicitation that you can do whatever you can do, right? And what you're looking for. So that's important, and it's absolutely free to post a vendor ad to a solicitation. So that is something that can have you stand up and be accounted for when you're interested in an opportunity, okay? So what we just covered here is searching for the opportunities, the particular pieces of a solicitation and what to pay attention to. Now we're going into our first pullout for Q&A. Are there any questions so far about searching for contracts?
We just have one. For when you're posting an ad, is there a particular type of information that you must submit in there?
So there's requirements basically like your business name and contact, and then there's going to be an open field for you to type in whatever you want to type. And so there's a character limit, which is really the only requirement there. And then you can say what you want to and what's going to bring attention to you if you're a sub looking for prime or whatever the case may be. So you have to put your business name, contact, and then it's an open field for you to be able to explain what your ad is about.
That would be it right now. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so let's go into our next section, which is your Cali Procure profile. So your profile obviously has your business name, it has your email, it has your addresses, and it has keywords and UnsPSC codes. Now, keywords and UnsPSC codes are very important. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today, are keywords and UnsPSC codes. So first, keywords. What the heck is a keyword and why do I need it, right? So a keyword is a word that describes a good or service that you provide. These are typically individual words, not phrases. There's singular words, not the plural versions of the words. And really any word can be a keyword. So examples of a keyword, let's say I'm an office supply business and I provide office supplies. I would put like paper, pen, stapler, pencil. These are all words that you would want to imagine someone who is looking to buy these goods or services, that they would type into a search engine to find businesses that do that, right? So this is specifically what your keyword is for, is either to be found in a search, or a solicitation will have keywords assigned to it, and they will connect with the keywords in your profile. So taking time and building out your keywords is really important. So how do you use the keywords? So the keywords show your goods and services. You can enter whatever keywords you want that you think are applied to your business. This applies to your certification profile only, not your registration profile, and we'll kind of explain that. And buyers use them to find you. So if I'm looking for office supplies and I'm not using the UnsPSC codes in this search, I'm just searching keywords, I'm going to type in, hey, I need to buy a pencil. I need to buy pens. I need to buy stapler, right? And the reason why we tell you to put in the singular version of the word, because the way the search works is that it's going to look for exactly what's put in the search, right? So if I put pencils in my profile and someone searches pencil, it's not going to come up, right? Because it's looking for exactly what you put in there. So if I have pencils and someone searches pencil, then it will come up, right? So you want to put the singular versions of the word. If someone searches the plural version, the singular will pop up as well. And that's why we tell you to keep the singular version. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see, we might have missed the page. Here we go. And how do I select the right keywords? So you want to use common words and jargon for your industry, right? So anything that refers to the goods and services that you speak of in your industry, you want to use those. You want to use synonyms as well, right? So let's say we were doing targeted outreach for debris removal. And we were looking for companies that can remove debris from wildfires. So we had looking for trucking companies. So you put trucking in your profile. You'd also put transportation. You'd also put hauling. You'd also put debris and removal, right? So you want to put a lot of different synonyms for the same thing based on how someone would search. So you want to use specific and broad keywords, and use, if you know the UnsPSC code, you can use words from the description of the UnsPSC. Those are good to put in your profile. And use keywords of successful competitors in Cali Procure. So we'll talk about how to do your market research and find out which companies are winning the contracts. And then you can go to their public profile and search their keywords and their UnsPSC codes and compare that to yourself and your profile, so you can see if you're missing anything that may apply, right? It's one of the cheat codes on how to level the playing field with those that have been successful in state contracting. Okay. All right, next, we're going to cover UnsPSC codes, which stands for United Nations Standard Products and Services Code.
Jermaine?
Yes.
I got a question for you. How do you change the codes? Those NSAC codes or?
Yeah, so in your state profile, we really use primarily UnsPSC codes and not NAICS codes. NAICS codes will really only apply if you're working with departments who take federal funds, like Caltrans, for example.
Okay.
But we will cover a little bit later on in the presentation how to update your profile with both the keywords and UnsPSC codes. So hang tight, I promise I'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. So UnsPSC, we want to talk about, a lot of people look at these codes and they don't know what they mean, right? So these are all, excuse me, 8-digit codes, and each level of the code has a meaning, right? So there's a hierarchy in the code. So level 1 through 4. So at the very top, level 1, it gives you the highest level of the description, which in this example is paper materials and products. And each 2 numbers have a meaning down the hierarchy of the code. Within Cali Procure, we typically use level 3 and level 4 codes for specific goods and services. But we wanted to show you how it breaks out and understand how the hierarchy of codes work. So when you're looking at a code, you can see, oh, this belongs to this because of the numbers, right? So every 2 digits have a meaning in UnsPSC codes, okay? All right, so how do I select the right UnsPSC codes for me and my business? So you can use keywords to find the right UnsPSC codes when you're searching for codes in the system, and we'll show you that. You can search on the United Nations website, which is unspsc.org, unspsc.org. There's a website specifically for UnsPSC codes. You can look at other people's profiles on Cali Procure and compare their UnsPSC codes. And we do recommend using the level 3 and level 4 codes in your profile. One thing I want to point out, this is something very new for Cali Procure. So there's been a UnsPSC overhaul and basically removal of a ton of codes. So there was 50,000 plus codes. Every single UnsPSC code that you'll find on the United Nations website were all in Cali Procure, right? What they found was the state wasn't using the majority of them, right? They weren't using them for contracting, anything like that. It's messing up the tracking, all of that, right? So there's no reason to have them in there if they're not being used. So all of those codes, 50,000 plus, were dwindled down to 14,000, right? So there's going to be codes on the United Nations website that aren't necessarily in in Cali Procure because the state doesn't use them and there's no reason for them to be there. So there is a dashboard for that. Any codes that have been removed, you can find what it's been replaced with. But typically, you're not going to run into this too much because those codes are hardly ever used. But I just want you to know that if you're on the general website, all the codes may not be in Cali Procure, and that's because we're streamlining the process to make it easy, make it easier for us to find you, make it easier for you to find the opportunities, okay? All right, so how do I use UnsPSC codes? So in your registration profile, UnsPSC codes are used for you to get notifications. So any code that you put in your UnsPSC profile, in your registration profile, any UnsPSC that you use in your registration profile, you can tell the system that you want to get alerts whenever a new opportunity comes up that has that UnsPSC connected to it. So you'll get an email notification as soon as that goes live, so you don't have to be checking the thing every day, right? The opportunities will come to you. Now on your certification profile, UnsPSC is used to promote the goods and services to buyers. So when they're physically going in the system and looking for companies that can provide the goods and services that they're looking for, the codes that you have in your certification profile are going to pop up your profile when they do their searches, right? So remember, they can search by keyword and they can search by UnsPSC, right? This is why you want to spend just as much time on both so that you have a robust profile of keywords and UnsPSCs so that you don't miss any opportunities, okay? I know that was a lot of information. We're on our next Q&A section. Are there any questions about what we just covered?
Yes, we do have a couple. So one of them says, how do we update our keywords?
All right, we're going to cover that probably in the next section. That's coming up pretty quick.
Okay. And then the next one is, I am in the insurance and employee benefits provider. Mm-hmm. What level do my services fall under?
So in this particular situation, we'd have to search it up, right? We'd have to go in the system and take a look. I don't know off the top of my head because there are 14,000 plus in the system, right? But we can definitely help you search on a one-on-one. So we can go through all of these scenarios with anyone who wants to, and you'll have our contact and how you can schedule a one-on-one, and we can search the database for you and help you find those codes. Don't know them off the top of my head though, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Jermaine. I had already told them exactly that. I just wanted to bring it up so as an example.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's a good call out, is that for any of you that have questions about any particular thing, specific questions, right, that apply specifically to you and your business, we can definitely work on a one-to-one offline so we can get you all the way ramped up. Okay, so no worries there at all. Any other questions?
That's it right now.
All right, let's keep moving. Now, updating your Cali Procure notifications. So now we know how important they are, keywords and UnsPSCs and all of that. So how do I update my profile? So you'll start at your central hub, which is caliprocure.ca.gov, and you will log in at the top. Now, the left side we said is your registration information, right? So on your left side under my account, you have manage notifications. These are going to be the notifications when an opportunity goes live for you to get an email alerting you, right? So we'll click on manage notifications. Now, when you go in there for the first time, the first question is, would you like to receive SB and DVBE subcontractor listing notifications? This is important. I would always say yes to this. What this means is when a prime contractor goes to bid for an opportunity that requires small business and DVBE participation, in their bid, they will say, if I win, I'm going to use this small business or this DVBE, right? Once we hear that, we want to alert you that you've been included in a bid, right? Because sometimes there is program abuse to where they just know some small businesses and some DVBEs, and they'll just connect them to the opportunity. And, you know, if we win, then maybe I'll contact you, and right? So we're trying to get all of that out of the system and make sure that you are aware whenever your business is being used. So I would recommend saying yes to that first question. Next question is going to be, would you like to receive event notifications for CSCR bidding opportunities? An event only means a solicitation, right? So do you want to be alerted when an opportunity goes live that fits your criteria? You would then say yes to that question. Next, when you scroll down, you have UnsPSC selection. And this is going to be a search engine for you to find the UnsPSC codes for you to add to your profile. So in this example, let's say I do a search for paper, a description search for paper. And this is going to search all of the UnsPSC codes that have paper in their description. So we'll do the search, we put paper, all of those, what is that, 215 UnsPSC codes populate. Then you'll just go through them, put a check in the box next to the ones you want to add to your profile. Once you check them, that moves them over to the My Notifications selection, and then you'll just select Save. If you move anything over there that you don't want, the red box with the white X next to the code will remove it. And then you will go down to the bottom and select Save. I'm using the word right too much. That's kind of how I present. I want to make sure that you guys are understanding. So when I say right, it's kind of like, do you understand? If you don't, I want you to put that in the chat and ask your question. Okay. And here we are, next question and answer section. Are there any questions in relation to adding those codes to your profile?
No, I didn't see anything right now.
Awesome.
And there's just something about the sharing the link to where the recording will be, and it will be, Olivia, it will be in your website, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It'll be uploaded by this afternoon, and it's on our website, lalcc.org / I believe it's DGS, but we'll certainly put something on our homepage to take you directly to the link.
And Dr. Tom, if you are in your profile right now and you're on your Work Center, on the left side under My Account, it says Manage Notifications. And that's the section that we were just covering.
I was about to read that one.
No worries. All right, let's keep going. Now, how do you update your Cali Procure certification profile? So this is separate. That was the notifications. Now we're looking at the certification profile. So start from the home page of your Work Center. Dr. Tom, over here is where I was talking about manage notifications under My Account, which was the last section we were talking about. This new section is on the right side under certification. So we'll click on Manage Certification. The next screen under your applications, you're going to click Amend Application. So you're basically amending the application that you submitted to get certified. So you'll click on Amend Application. Now, to make these changes, you have to be on the Other tab. Unfortunately, you can't just click Other. You have to go through each tab and hit Save and Continue, which makes you verify all of your information so that nothing is changed, that you don't have to make any updates. So at the bottom, you will hit Save and Continue on each tab until you get to the Other tab. On the Other tab, this is where you can update your service areas and you can update your keywords. If you wanted to add a service area, let's say you had 2 service areas, 2 counties that you provide goods and services in, and you would like to add more, you'll just click on Add Service Area. And it will populate a new option where you can add a new county. If you want to add keywords under the keyword field, you will just click the plus sign, and then it will add a new line for you to put in new keywords as well. A little bit further down is your UnsPSC code selections. This will show you the codes that you already have, and you have the Add UnsPSC Code Classification button. Once you click that, it's similar to the one that we had before, which is a search box at the top, a search engine. Same thing, we can put in a description search, we plug in paper, all the same codes come up. Click the boxes next to the ones that we want. They will be added to your list, and then you will click Save. So the process is pretty much the same of how you find them and add them, and just make sure that you always click Save to add them to your profile. Any new questions on updating the UnsPSCs in your certification profile?
I didn't see anything right now. Oh, but how many keywords can you actually have in your profile?
I have an experience where a firm has reached the limit. I was told that there is a limit, and it's in the hundreds. So, but I haven't seen any firms reach their limits.
How about if I want to get notifications for something that I don't sell? What do you think about that?
Yes. If you want to get notifications on something that you don't sell, and like, why would you do that? This is if you're thinking of, maybe I want to offer this in the future, and I want to know if there's a market for it. So I wouldn't put it in my certification profile, because that profile is telling buyers in the public, this is what I provide today, right? But you can put it in your registration profile where you get your notifications, because that's not public, but you get the notifications for whatever you put in there, right? So if I sell paint and I want to see if, primer is something that people are buying, then I'll put that in my notification as well. And then if I get a bunch of notifications on that, well, maybe I should start adding that to my lineup, right? So that's my take on, if you want to get notified on something that you don't provide, don't add it to your certification profile, but add it to your notifications profile.
Thank you. That should be it.
Awesome. All right, let's keep going. Now, I'm certified, I got my profile nice and robust. How do I do my market research? How do I research to find out, who's buying what I sell? How much does it cost? How much are people selling these goods and services for? This is how you do market research for past purchases of things that the state has already bought. So back on our home page, you're going to go to the tiles. If you're logged in, the tiles are going to be below your work center. If you're not logged in, the tiles will be where the work center normally is. You're going to click on Find Public Procurement Information. And then in the list, to the second one down is search for past purchases in the state contracts and procurement registration system, also known as skippers. So we'll do a skipper search, which has all the historical procurements for what the state has purchased. So in this example, I'll do just a basic description search for construction. And I do a search. I didn't put a date, so I didn't put a to and from date. So I'm going to get a ton of results. So you can put a to and from date. You also have advanced search criteria. You guys can see it right there in the middle next to search and clear. Advanced search criteria give you additional things that you can search for, like UnsPSC codes, specific vendor names, all that sort of thing, right? But once you do a search, you'll get your results, and this is what it shows you. So on the left, you're going to see all of the departments that are buying these goods and services. So if I see in this example, Department of Transportation is popping up a lot, maybe I should focus on the Department of Transportation because they seem to buy construction-related goods and services often, right? You have a description of what they purchased, you have the dates, then you have a grand total. Also, under purchase document, which is the second column there, if you click on the purchase document, it will populate kind of like an itemized description of what that grand total is. So then you'll be able to see like a per unit price if that's listed in the purchase document. You have the grand total, how much they paid. Then you have the supplier that won the contract. So now, if next to supplier, it says certification type, it's cut off in this example, but it says certification type. So if you see SB, which stands for small business, or DVBE, you know their profile is in the system, right? So you can go back and do a search for their profile, and then you can compare the keywords in UnsPSC codes like we talked about before. So if the first result there, they got a $75,000 contract, well, let me plug them in and see what their profile looked like and compare it to mine to see if I'm missing anything or if I'm on point, right? And this can be downloadable. You can download it into an Excel spreadsheet, which you could then sort. And it also tells you the contact information for the department in this. So this is really, really important because a lot of times we don't know how much do I charge for my goods and services? What departments buy what I sell? Who are they selling it to? What is the grand total, right? Is it even worth? Is there a market in the state for what I sell? And doing this research is really going to show you who and how much and with whom these goods or services are being purchased. Okay. Next, once I find the department, so let's say I looked at those results and there's about 3 or 4 departments that buy these goods and services often. Now my next question is, well, how do I connect with those departments? And the way to connect with those departments is going to be through their advocate. So each of the departments that have their own purchasing delegation or purchasing authority have an advocate, an SBDVBE advocate, where part of their duties are to assist in connecting our small business and DVBE. So these are state employees who work in purchasing at specific departments, and they help SBs and DVBEs get contracts. How do I find them? So back to the home page, find training and resources tile. Click on that, and under research and marketing, there is a contact small business DVBE advocate. We'll click on that link. That link will take us to the advocate webpage, which right in the middle has download the advocate directory. And we talked about this before, but now we've done our research and we know the departments that we're highlighting. And so now when I download this, I kind of have a purpose. And so it tells you, first thing is that the departments that are highlighted have a first policy. A first policy means that when they are going to buy goods and services, they want to go to small businesses and DVBEs first before they go out to the public. So if there were 4 or 5 departments that I know buy what I sell, I'm going to start with the ones that have first policies because the competition is less, right? I'm not competing with the whole world, the whole public. I'm competing with just smalls and DVBEs, right? So those are the highlighted departments that have a first policy. We've highlighted the departments that buy construction-related goods and services for all of our firms that provide those goods and services, so you can kind of point out which ones out of the list. You also have the name of the advocate, and further to the right, and I had it cut off because advocates change. Further to the right, you have their contact information, which is email, phone number. In our polling of advocates, the consensus is that they would prefer that you start with an email. Start with an email, letting them know that you're a certified firm and what you're looking to do, the information you're looking for. And then you can follow up with a phone call referencing your email, right? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, an advocate job is difficult, right? And there's a lot of people that contact and they have competing priorities. So if I'm not looking for what you buy or sell at a particular time, I may not get back to you in 5 minutes, right? Because I'm still trying to find suppliers for what I'm actually looking for. Don't let that discourage you. Don't let not getting a response in 5 minutes from when you send an email discourage you from not trying to work with that advocate in that department. We just have to understand that on the other side of the email, there is a person that has things that they're trying to accomplish as well. So we want to have patience with building these relationships. But when they say in real estate, it's location, 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 you guys know. In business, it's relationships, relationships, relationships. And we want to build the relationships with those in the departments whose job it is to assist us. So I would give them a little grace and stay consistent with your communication so that you can build those relationships would be my best advice. All right. You also want to send them your capability statement. This is just an example of a capability statement. It has the UnsPSC codes that apply to the goods and services I provide. It has any certifications that I have. We also recommend if you've had success with departments, whether state departments or even local, county, federal government, you want to put those things in there so that we can see that you've had success with entities such as ours to be able to have you stand out in comparison to others. But when you're making your initial communication with these departments, we do recommend you send a capability statement, which is basically your business's resume, right? So you want to have that information sent as well. Any questions on advocates, their role, how to find them, or what you should send?
There were some questions about the research. Okay, so one of them is, can you search by NAICS codes?
Can you search by NAICS codes when you're looking for past procurements?
Yes. Or present, I mean current.
Is NAICS code, you know what? I'm not sure if NAICS code in the advanced search is an option. I don't believe so, because the majority of the procurements, they use UnsPSC codes. NAICS codes are not used in state contracting. It's only used by a couple departments who use federal funds. So NAICS codes are like a federal designation. And so if like Department of Transportation uses federal funds to build a freeway, then they may have NAICS codes connected to an opportunity, but they'll also have the UnsPSC codes as well. So UnsPSC is typically what you'll find there. So you're going to want to find the UnsPSC codes that are the translation of the NAICS codes that you've been using to have the most traction. At the end of this, I'll go in there and see if NAICS codes are part of the search, but I don't believe that there are from memory.
Okay. We do have another one. Does the system allow for wildcards for the search?
For wildcards.
You know, sometimes it allows you to put like an asterisk before the number or some kind of.
Right. No, the system is not going to recognize, they're not going to recognize those. So like all of these systems, all of these search engines are going to search exactly what you put in, right? And what it comes out with is exactly what you put in. So it's not like Google where it's going to say, did you mean this? Or these are some related things to what you put. It's not going to do that. And it's not going to interpret additional characters that you put in that may mean something else. They're really straightforward systems that are going to search exactly what you put in. So if you put an asterisk in a word, it's going to be looking for an asterisk in that word. It's not going to interpretate its meaning.
That would be it, Jermaine. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, we also have Reciprocity Partners, and we talked about this in our first webinar. These are the entities that also accept our SB and DVBE certifications that kind of streamline the process for doing business with them. We have Reciprocity Partners all across the state, and there's a listing of our Reciprocity Partners that we talked about on our website. But we just want to highlight that again, because when you do your market research, you may find that the state of California doesn't buy what you sell often. That's a possibility. But some of our Reciprocity Partners may. And so that's a benefit of having your SB or DVBE certification, that you can streamline the process to work with them. And we have links to all of those partners on the Cali Procure website. Now, resources. So along with the Los Angeles Latino Chamber of Commerce, which is where you guys are, and they do an amazing job, and that's why we're partners. We also like to highlight some of the additional resources and other partners that the state of California has to try to help you get into state contracting. So for our new businesses, we do recommend small business development centers that have free resources for business consulting, planning, marketing, access to capital. PTAX can help with government contracting. SCORE can help with business mentorship. These are all additional resources for you to help you build your business. Now, lastly, one of the last topics is CUF. We talked about this at the first webinar as well, which stands for commercially useful function. And we just want to make sure that all businesses that are involved in our program, our SB and DVBE program, are providing a commercially useful function, meaning that if you are part of a bid, part of a contract, you are executing a distinct element of the work, you're performing, managing, or supervising the task, you're doing what you say that you're doing, right? So if I win a contract for plumbing, I win a $50,000 contract for plumbing, and then I go find a plumber and I give him $40,000 to do the job and I keep 10, I'm not performing a commercially useful function. I would say right at that point it's normally, but that's a reason for commercially useful function. We want to work with the businesses that are providing the goods and services, and we want to make sure that they're getting the money and we're not having any pass-throughs in the transaction. Now, if subcontracting like construction, for example, is normal in your industry, then that's perfectly fine. It makes perfect sense for a prime contractor to subcontract to painters and to plumbers and for people to do, different elements of the work. That's normal, but it's not normal for me to win a plumbing contract and then go find a plumber. So that's really what commercially useful function is referring to. So you're not performing a commercially useful function if you're an extra participant in a transaction, contract, or project. You're not being used to perform the work as stipulated in the bid, or you no longer are being used to provide the goods and services, then you're not providing a commercially useful function. And we're really trying to uphold the integrity of these programs, and there are ramifications for being part of contracts and you're not providing a commercially useful function. If there are any questions, if you want to verify, you can contact the contact person for that opportunity, the contract administrator. It's their job to kind of evaluate CUF, and you can just get in front of it and ask them, and they're going to give you the answers if you're within the guidelines. But this is important because we put a lot of work into the SB and DVBE program, and we want to make sure that those opportunities stay with those firms. Now we're getting towards the end, so we want to give a quick review so we can jog your memory if you have any questions. So California State Contracts Register we covered, which is where the opportunities lie, updating and improving your profile, doing your market research and searching skippers for past purchases, finding the departments that buy what I sell. Once I find the departments, I can contact those departments via their SB DVBE advocates. We also talked about reciprocity partners. If, let's say, the state is not the best fit for me, I can work with some of their reciprocity partners with my certifications. We talked about additional resources and commercially useful function. Now, if you all have success stories, if you go through these steps and you are successful and you win your first contract, please let us know. It's the reason that we do this, is we really want to know when you are successful. We want to know your successes along the way. So send us an email, businessoutreach@dgs.ca.gov, explaining your successes. We have highlighted businesses in the past, done full-on videos, highlighting them, promoting them. It's completely in your best interest for us to highlight your successes, because more departments will then want to do business with you, and it's absolutely free to you. And it is really the backbone behind why we do what we do. We want you to be successful in contracting. You getting certified and all of that is great, and you being in the system is great, but we want you to win contracts, and we want to know about it, and that energizes the team. So please let us know. Contact information for both myself and Teresa. Again, you can use the mailbox if you have additional questions. We both have access to that, as well as the rest of our team can have access to the mailbox if you have any questions. This here is a QR code to book an appointment. How you use this is on your smartphone. Just pull up your camera and point it at this code, and it will launch the page where you can book a one-on-one appointment. So some of the questions that came up earlier were about specific UnsPSC codes and searching for those. You can book a one-on-one appointment, or you can email the mailbox, either way, and we can work with you one-on-one on finding those opportunities. So on your smartphone, pull up the camera, point it at this code, and it should launch the web page to book an appointment. We also, to stay updated, we have our new LinkedIn page, LinkedIn/DGS-OSDS, our Office of Small Business and DVBE Services webpage on LinkedIn. A lot of new opportunities are posted there. We have a dedicated team that's managing that. So follow us, share the opportunities, let us know your successes. All of that is going to go through the LinkedIn page. And we're just encouraging the community of small businesses and DVBEs to share best practices, share resources, interact with us so that we can all be more successful every single day moving forward. So we're starting our presence online, and we're really proud of the page. All right, now that we've done our reviews, are there any last questions about anything that we covered that we want some clarification on?
I didn't see any more questions, Jermaine. Olivia wanted us to share a little bit about the sanctions and penalties and all that stuff for not doing cuff or actually doing a commercially useful function, I went ahead and posted the brochure on cuff on the chat. That way they have access to it. It has all the main points, including the violations and sanctions, be it monetary or jail time. So everything's in there.
Perfect. And this is one of the last things before I turn it back over to Olivia for parting words. If you found any of this information useful, please share it. Share it with your community, share it with the people in your circle that are entrepreneurs like yourselves. We know that this time period has been especially hard for our SBs and DVBEs to stay in business, to find opportunities, to be able to attend webinars and things of that nature. So if you found anything that was helpful, please share it, pass this information on. That's what it's here for, is to be shared. And the last thing is that we all know that knowledge is power, right? But we also know that execution trumps knowledge. Knowing this information is great, but unless we execute, we're not going to have success, right? So let's take this information, let's share it, let's execute it, and let's be successful. Thank you so much for your time. I very appreciate being here, and we'll be looking forward to the next webinar.
Jermaine, can you share the LinkedIn slide again? Somebody wants to see it again.
Sure. Oh, yeah, let's back it up. There we are.
Oh.
There we go. You all are very welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Olivia, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Jermaine and Teresa. Thank you for an informative session. I'm hoping that everyone who participated went away with some golden nuggets, some knowledge, and especially resources. We're here at the Chamber, we're here to assist you, but we're not, we're a part of the vessel. But, in that vessel, there's so much other partners such as SCORE, DGS, etc. So don't be shy to connect with them. They're here to help you. And sometimes we know that the fear is in asking for help, but there's no such thing as fear, only failures. But, from those failures, we all learn. But we're hoping you took away some golden nuggets, and this presentation will be available on our website, lalcc.org/webinar-series. We will also post that in the survey that we'll be sending out later this morning. But we want to make sure that you enjoyed today's session. We have session number 3 coming up next Tuesday, the 17th, again at 10 a.m. You can register on our website. And like Jermaine said, share this with your friends, share this with other colleagues. It's, always important to kind of extend yourself. One of the most important things is that you may not be able to provide 100% of the service, but you can always partner up with someone to complete it as a whole and apply together. Right, Jermaine?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just little last minute details. Not only should you register for part number 3, in September, we'll be having a webinar on workmen's compensation insurance. And in October, we have a Google and US Bank financial workshop. We're trying to make the 2 financial workshops in September. And then lastly, be sure to join us for our 7th annual golf tournament slated for November 9th. We want to make sure that that we are in good health, and we want to make sure that you're in the same position. So moving forward, we'll still continue to host webinars, especially with Delta around the corner and maybe possibly affecting us. So have a blessed day, and thank you, and see you next Tuesday. Alrighty, goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
That's about that people. Shit.